Heard you a snitch, nigga be quiet cause you could get bitched. I keep a chopper, it's loaded. Hop with the rolls, got my name on the curtain. Fucking your thought and I do that for certain. And I stay clean like detergent. Popping on Xannies and popping on Perk. Burn up on me, you get cooked like a turkey. I just want this bitch inside of Billy. I'm open no roof, got stars up on the roof. So my freedom.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to What If Izuku Midoriya had a symbiot. So, without further ado, let's get into it. We didn't really cover something last episode that was kind of important. You see, the sludge villain incident. We did not cover that. So, we're going to cover it now, because if I didn't get to it then, we're going to pass over the usual shit that would have happened. Bakugo would not be talking shit to anyone. And, yeah, sludge villain incident. So, what happens is basically this. Izuku... Oh... Okay. Izuku, who's waiting, like, going down under the underpass, kind of just chilling. He ended up bumping into some more people, getting some more quirks. Like, 3 people. 2 of them were useless. He got another, like, a precision quirk, which ought to be helpful. Which, 6 is gonna end up, putting into him tonight, I guess. So, Izuku's walking down the underpass, and then just, like, animalistic instinct twitch. And, before he could, well, when he is reacting, he gets grabbed up by the sludge villain. And he's like, alright, kid, give me your body. Like, on some, like, really yikes shit. But, Izuku kinda has Venom, dude. I'm not Venom. What the fuck am I talking? This is not Venom. This is 6. Or else there would be a Venom insignia and or picture on screen. I'm stupid. But, yeah, so what ended up happening was 6 ended up, like, wrapping around Izuku, stopping the sludge and shit from getting into his mouth, and 6 now has the sludge quirk, which is extremely good for him, you know, being a fucking symbiote. So, yeah, what he ends up doing is pretty kind of scary. Because what he ends up doing is using a quirk that he ended up getting called, that was really just electricity. And he just shocked the shit out of the sludge villain while the sludge villain was trying to find a way inside of the suit. So, as he is getting shocked to hell, Izuku is able to undo the symbiote suit and begins unlimited power this man into the fucking corner. And, I'm not gonna lie to you, he just kills the sludge villain. Now, this is when All Might comes in. Izuku, at this point, is, like, walking away from the sludge, like, the now somewhat burnt smell of sewer in the air. All Might doesn't really know what the fuck happened, but it probably has to do with something with the kid. And he's like, hey, kid. He turns around, realizes that All Might's there, doesn't really give a fuck, and he's like, yo, which kind of takes All Might back for a bit. And he's like, okay, I guess this kid, like, is trying to act, like, has a really good poker face. I don't know. But, yeah. What he ends up doing is basically talking to All Might. All Might swears to fucking God he remembers this kid, right? Because if he didn't remember last episode, he was starting to do vigilante shit, and he had to run like at 150, 150 miles an hour to basically knock himself out. But besides that, he's talking with All Might, and he just kind of like explains, like, look, there was something that came out of the sewer that tried to like do something to me, and I just kind of shocked it with extreme amounts of electricity. And All Might's like, okay, so he's in the sewers, okay. And he goes underneath and he says, thanks, good, it's appreciated. And it's shutting the thing and like starts looking more vigorously for the sludge villain, which in reality is kind of dead underneath a trash can. The body of the sludge villain is found 4 days later, being 4 days old with electrical wounds. Wounds on the what's left of the sludge and the permanent smell of ozone on the body. So I'm sorry, I'm tired. But yeah, we're gonna go to the 10-month period. We're going to the first month. Now, like I said, Izuku has been getting into vigilante work fairly frequently. Sightings of this black-suited individual is kind of being a lot more taken seriously, I guess, right? So, when it comes down to it, Izuku is kind of just doing his own thing, and there was a setup that people ended up doing. He ended up getting some more quirks during this month, but this setup's interesting. So Izuku's basically have been like spending his days like walking around and bumping into people for the 10-month period. Why? Simple. Most people have quirks, right? And if he like bumps into people, leaves a small, like very small amount of 6 on them, they're just kind of gonna like slowly like gather DNA and then find their way to like a squirrel and then go back to Izuku. So yeah, that's basically happening. And then they ended up seeing if they could like catch him midday. And Izuku had his phone out, was low-key like using a sentry quirk that he ended up having, which was basically echolocation on steroids, which Izuku kind of walked and bumped into a hero, that hero being Ryuku, acting kind of scared and jumpy by this. Ryuku kind of got nicked, and a small bit of skin, a small dead scale, ended up coming off, which is just enough to get that dragon quirk, which is, that's a good quirk. Anyway, but they're talking. He's apologizing fucking vigorously, not even paying attention. Like, she lets him off. And Aizawa is told to follow him. Literally, to make it look less suspicious, he goes down the street, gets like a slushie, like 3, what was it? Like Snickers bars, and like one of those, like, no, not one. Who the fuck only eats one slice of pizza? Fucking like 3 slices of the window pizza that they have in places, some 7-Elevens. So he basically goes outside, sits on a bench, eats his food, throws all of his stuff away. He didn't eat all the candy bars. He ended up going into an alleyway, which Aizawa thought was suspicious, and then seeing him like walk up an entire fire escape to get to the roof and start free running. And Aizawa calls this in, and he's like, should I keep following him? And he's like, yeah, I'ma follow you too, just to double check. And the person who said this, well, it was All Might, because he recognized the kid and remembered what he said about using electricity for, fuck, hold on. Damn, I'm sorry. I had to deal with something real quick, but, yeah. So, Izuku's free running. Just kind of going. He goes into a spot where it's kind of like you're not allowed there, which gives Aizawa the authority to kind of stop him. And, this is weird, because, like, Izuku's going, still free running. Like, Aizawa's not screaming after him or anything, he's trying to catch up. And then the moment he sees Aizawa, he's like, fuck. And he's just like, he starts actually going fast. Like, not going full bore using his quirk, but he's going fairly fast for an unquirked person. Like, it's like, okay, that's weird. Weird. And All Might, like, he calls into All Might, basically telling him what's up. And All Might's gonna transform and, like, try and take chase of him. Even though it's, like, probably just the fucking kid, and it was probably a coincidence, but that person who killed the sludge villain might be the fucking kid, and they don't know. And, what Izuku does is kind of start running, and then he hears a couple feet behind him. While he's running, he turns his head a little bit, sees All Might, makes direct eye contact, and he's like, well, I guess I'm using my quirk, and he starts going. He starts at 50 miles an hour, off jump, just, we need to leave. Now, Aizawa at this point cannot keep up. All Might is, and now that he sees that, hey, he's using a quirk, and Izuku is kind of like using electricity, like small bursts of electricity, to make it look like, hey, it's part of an electricity-based quirk, because that's what he told All Might he had. So, yeah, he's going. All Might's starting to catch up, though. Izuku kicks it up a notch, goes to 160. And All Might is starting to have trouble, which then he begins calling people in like, yeah, no, I think we got him. Got the kid that fucking killed the sludge villain. And it's like, oh, wait, that kid? and like, as soon as Ryuku who hears that, he's like, alright, I'm coming. And she goes into a spot, goes dragon form and flies off in the directions, and people are kind of scrambling because they don't know, really. Right? They don't. And this is like in the afternoon, so it's not really that quiet either. So, yeah. Izuku's running, being able to make jumps that people not using, like, without a quirk should not make. So, people are like noticing, hey, there's a free runner using a quirk up there. And it's like, oh, that's All Might, he's going to get him. And then they see Ryuku fucking fly past the building, and it's like, there's something bad going on, we need to leave. Leave. And then, like, some cop cars come screeching by. It's like, oh, oh, something bad's going on. And as soon as Izuku, like, realizes, fuck, I'm gonna have to go faster, he starts activating his enhancements quirks. The 2x enhancement. And, more electricity is going off him more and more as he gets faster, because he only wants it to be known that he has an electric quirk, damn it. And at this point he's going like 300 miles an hour. 310. And All Might is now actually having to put effort in to jump around to get there. Right? He's going, and he's actually putting in effort. Ryuko sees this and realizes, oh, I'm unimpeded. I could just scoop him. Scoop him. And as soon as he notices Ryuko, and he's like, oh, fuck. Well, I'm happy I have my runner gear. And he basically, like, mid-run, reaches, like, in a side satchel and pulls out a meat hook and some rope. Rope about 15 to 20 feet. He starts spinning it really, really fast. Jumps off the building and still going like 310 miles an hour. Hooks it onto a light post and swings. Wings to try to like lose people, trying to use the meat hook and rope to make them do tighter turns, that kind of stuff. Now, at this point, Izuku's starting to realize there are a lot more heroes. Like, it's one of those situations where he thinks they got him pegged and they were waiting for him, and it's like, fuck, and he's just going. Because he doesn't know if he could go to the house. He doesn't fucking know. So what he's going to do? Alright, I guess I'm going to have to actually start trying. He puts on like 3 other speed quirks, the other 2 enhancements, and some other stuff, which then starts to make him go about God, I want to say, about 900 miles an hour. This man's fucking going. Oh, and he's not slowing down for fucking anyone. He does not want to deal with this. So, All Might having to put in a lot more effort, and him not giving the quirk to anyone yet, he still has some gas to go, and there's a lot of fucking lightning coursing off of Izuku. So, what he does is pretty simple. He thinks that he's pegged regardless. So the lightning shit can't be happening no more. So he turns off the lightning after he goes to his maximum speed. Without using 6. His maximum speed is 999. His body is barely handling the inertia. Which 6 has, like, upgraded the fuck out of his body at this point to handle, like, inertia and whiplash. So what Izuku does is pretty straightforward. He reaches into his other satchel, like, pulls back in his meat hook and rope, puts that back in the satchel. He's just like, pulls out a crowbar. And he's looking and he's looking and he's looking, and he realizes, fuck, the only, like, manhole cover is in a fucking intersection. Like, god fucking damn it. Like, I'm in the shit. Like, yeah, I'm about to be. Like, so he's like starting to get lower and lower on the floor, which people are noticing, and he's like, what the fuck is he doing? Is he gonna go faster? Because at this point, he's basically hugging the floor. He didn't show anyone that he had, like, the crowbar yet. Ryuk's about to fucking go down until she realized, oh, fuck, he's going on to an intersection. I can't do that, or I'm gonna hurt people. So he starts dragging the crowbar on the floor, like 90% certain that, okay, I'm gonna have to catch this or I'm fucked. So what he does is, luckily, he ends up snagging the edge of the lid of the sewer drain and stopping himself, lifting the manhole up, looking back, jumping down, and pulling the manhole cover down as a truck goes over him. And Izuku begins running down there, goes around a corner, jumps into the soup, and turns into sludge. And begins to use a quirk called Meld, which is basically Reptile's camo. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's Reptile's camouflage. So he's just waiting, and he hears the loud, thunderous footsteps of All Might fucking running down in there, looking around. Izuku has an idea. So it's in the middle of summer. So what he does is simple. He calls a little mosquito to fly on the nape of All Might's neck, get some blood. This was successful. Happily, it was. It was extremely successful. Now, that mosquito proceeded to go off All Might and suicide bomb into the soup, where Izuku was waiting in the wings to catch it, pull open the blood bag, and just have Six kind of eat that shit up. All Might eventually leaves. Izuku gets out of the soup. He doesn't smell, but his shoes will. Unless he, finds a cleaning quirk or something. That, or he just gets new shoes. Which he's probably gonna do. So, yeah, Izuku sneaks out of the sewers through another manhole. Well, that specifically the manhole in the alleyway that he knows about. Shuts it. Goes to a shoe store to get new shoes. Because those shoes are busted out. He can't use them no more. So he's like, fuck, I'm gonna need specialized quirked running shoes. And he stops. And he thinks, yeah, no, I should be able to get that. What the fuck am I talking about? And he's basically goes home, orders a pair of regular looking shoes that have much better grip than the running shoes, the cleats that he had, and just much better durability on the actual feet of the shoes, the soles. So those don't fucking bust out when he's running. He basically bought reinforced shoes to help him, run. But yeah. That was the first month. there are 9 months remaining. To say Izuku didn't really have that many other times with heroes because he laid low for those 9 months. And he's going to a regular school. Not a hero school, just a regular one for business. Because he wants to see if he could, like, do something interesting. But other than that, I'll see y'all later. Have a nice day. Peace.